Good morning. It's good to see everyone here at the Wayne County Facilities Committee meeting this morning. I just have a couple of comments. The reason for this meeting, of course, I want to introduce Wayne Aycock, myself, and Mr. Steve Keene, who are the Facility Committee. And we have everyone here. I want to welcome all the mayor, the county manager from Mount Olive. Welcome all of you here to our meeting this morning. I want to say that the only thing we're going to be talking about this morning is the Steele Memorial Library. It is a priority. It is the top priority, and we know we've got some things to do to get ready to go out for bids. And having said that, we cannot move any faster than the law will allow. We're making sure that everything is in order and the way it should be according to the law before we move forward. I can assure you that every one of us on this committee and the elected officials across this county share that same concern that we really need to get this going. At this time, I would like to turn over to Mr. Borden Parker, our county attorney, with the latest information and where we're headed.
Procedure like you did for the Senior Citizens Center, the Senior Center, by giving them notice. The contract provides that if you get out of it, you will have to pay them what they perceive as their lost profit. I've talked to someone from Ratio yesterday, as recently as yesterday. They anticipate that the total cost of getting out of their contract would be estimated at $35,000. You have spent substantial money with them already. You could, if you get out of the contract, you will have their what they have already designed, and you could use that to as a specification for a design build situation. You have a license for what they have designed for you for the use of that building. I am told that the documents they have are ready to go out for bid. I have not seen the most recent set of plans, but you would have, if you got out of the contract, you would have those that you could use to for a design build situation.
Any questions from the committee, Mr. Parker? Mr. Parker, if we decide to go with them on the bid process, do you know if we will be allowed to stipulate our target price per square foot?
You certainly can stipulate a target price. You might be in a situation by doing that the proposed contractors or the bidders would say, we cannot come in at that price, but we could, as an example, say that we were planning to put in carpet at $50 a square yard. And they'd say, well, we can substitute something for $25 a square yard. And they could come down and do such things as that. And you would have to make a decision as whether you were willing to accept those reductions.
Do we have any experience, and I guess I can ask this question of Mr. Smith and you, do we have any experience in the county with Ratio Architects? Have we had past
prior to this?
Yes.
No, I have never worked with them before. This is the first project.
And I have not either.
So if we suspend the contract, terminate the contract with Ratio, then that would allow us to use their plans and blueprints and prints, and we could go out on design build ourselves. That's correct. Am I correct?
If you terminate the contract with them, you will have the access and the use of the plans that they have made. When you go design build, you would need to have something to let the people that were going to bid on that know what you expected to build.
Right.
And you would be able to use that. With design build, you have a contractor and an architect that work together to give you a price. And you could tell them what price that you wanted, what you were willing to spend.
In our conversations, Mr. Parker, I think one of the things that was concerning to me about ratio is that, am I correct in saying that they do not believe that we will save any money if we go to design and build? Is that correct?
That's what the person that I've talked to from Ratio, the name that I was given is Bill Brown, and I've talked to him. He is not the person that has been hands-on dealing with the county.
Okay.
I think that that's been a Lewis Cherry.
And he's no longer with them. I think about 60 days ago, he left the firm. So now it's Sharon Crawford. She's been with the project the whole time, but Lewis was primary, Sharon was secondary, but Lewis has left and now Sharon is the primary.
We have, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor. The comment that was made that we would not save any money on design build, did we do a design build on the senior center?
Yes, you did.
Wasn't there a substantial amount of money saved?
Yes.
Thank you.
And I was going to add to that, we believe, our committee believes, our facilities director, all of us really truly believe that we can save money by going to a design build. But it sort of gives me a little bit of a heartburn, if you will, that an architectural firm that has had so much money spent on architectural design would make that statement. It's a little bit disturbing. But the key is that we are going to have to decide which way we want to go and move forward. And that's the purpose of this meeting, is to get the information out. We may not make a decision today, but we will in the next few days on which way to go. This is news to all of us, by the way, and we've had some bits and pieces, but we have got to get this project moving, but we have to do it according to the law. Anyone have any question? Any other question?
Excuse me. On the design build, we're getting as good or better quality work than if we went straight with the architect, or with the architects, or let the architect put it out for bids.
With design, if you don't mind, with the design build, the only difference with design build is you actually sit down as the owner. Once you pick a team, and you call them teams, be it as you described, Mr. Mayor, your architect, engineer, and contractor, which are a team, and they team with the owner once you've done your selection process. They then, with the owner, design it, put it together, and how they're going to do it. And a lot of it is that you in advance decide on how the thing's going to run, what the process is going to be, trying to avoid things like change orders. And that's where you get a lot of savings, because you know what's coming. But when you look at the difference in cost, in a lot of cases, like the senior center, as Mr. King mentioned, we know we saved, $1 million or so with the type process that we used. We saved money. So we think in this process we could do the same thing. You set the budget, and once you set the budget, you as a team sit down with them and walk through all the prices. But as far as a better or the quality, they will stamp, their engineer will stamp the design. You will have a copyrighted design that they will put a stamp on. There will be plans. There will be, just like you would if you were to in advance get plans with a stamp and then say, go build this. You just do it at the same time together. And it's all stamped and engineered, and they are responsible for those engineering. Well, if there was a structural failure or something that wasn't right, that engineer is responsible, and that firm is responsible. So the answer would be yes, your quality would be as good.
Square footage on the senior citizen and the library,
Senior
Are they about the same, or-
senior centers between 19 and 20,000 square feet, give or, within a plus or minus. The project in Mount Olive is 22,000 plus or minus square feet. So
so
it's
we're
about
looking at a little larger
little
building?
larger.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
at the price.
If you can walk up there so they can, with the microphone, that way they can hear on TV and on the radio.
At the price that Mr. Parker quoted us, if we can save $1.50 a foot.
That's a break-even point. Anything over $1.50 a foot, that design build saves us, we're money ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Smith. Any other comments? Questions?
Yes, sir. I'm taking notes. First of all, I understand that there was $350,000 raised by the Friends of Mount Olive. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is it correct also that an estimated $240,000 has already been paid? $230,000 have been paid to Ratio Architects.
Approximately, yes.
You got $230,000 and they're asking for $35,000. So all of a sudden you could have an architectural firm on these particular set of architectural plans at somewhere around $270,000. $280,000 out of the $350,000. I guess my concern is that are they going to pay the $35,000?
Are you asking Friends of the Library? Are you asking
That, yes, sir.
management to-
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Steve, I understand you're asking, would the Friends of the Library be willing to pick up the $35,000?
Yes, sir.
I can't answer that, of course. I'm Jimmy Williams. I'm speaking for the Friends of the Library in Mount Olive, and I think that's something that we could go back. I don't know the balance of money. I'm not privy to that, how much cash to have. I do know there are still pledges outstanding and are still coming in. And I do know in talking with Lynn, she said we needed to raise some more money for various things. But I think it's certainly something that we would go back and take a look at and see what it is and either sharing with or something, because I think I speak for them when I say that we totally support what you're doing here today and endorse it, think it's a good way to go. The biggest concern that anybody has is that we do begin movement with the library, and you've already stated that. How we do it is not, is not an issue. The only thing we would say, and we're all for saving money. I have worked with public funds enough in my experience to know that anything that you can save to do. The only thing we would say, of course, is that we would not want to save money to the point that we compromise the integrity of the library so that it could fulfill the mission that that you're putting it there to do. But I'm sure that with the proper supervision, and I'm familiar with your design build process, it's a good process, and I think you'll save money with it too, but I don't know that. But on behalf of them, we want to thank you, though, for making this a top priority, Mr. Mayor, and getting it moving, and we'll be happy to consider anything you ask us to do and tell you what we can or cannot. I don't know that. I don't have the authority to speak that today. But if that helps your situation, I didn't answer your question, but
For clarity, that helped me. Yes, sir.
Does that help you with it?
Yes, sir.
And thank you so much for this opportunity to say those things.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I'll do a follow-up, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
My thought then after that is the commissioners have set up a target date per square, target figure per square foot at $120. This, of course, was understudy prior to their vote because of the senior center, which we did a design bill, which has been already indicated by the county manager that we saved $1 million or so. And, of course, Wayne suggested that it was 19 to 20,000 square feet. His question was, and it was 19 to 20,000 square feet on the senior center, 22,000, difference of maybe 2,000 square feet. And if you go with the design build, and we can save, according to that, million or so, 2,000 square feet, comes to a considerable savings. And if what we did is when we, as commissioners, here 2 or 3 weeks ago, we gave the go-ahead to do and target the $120 per square foot, we looked at Ratio's architectural design, and we also looked at their cost. They used a construction management firm out of Wilmington. And then we did a second or third study. We went to Greene County and pulled a company,
JLT.
JLT, and it looked somewhere between 140 to 150. We have, during our discussions with other builders, a design build saving $1 million or so. We need to go design build, is what I would like to see personally, as just one member on this facility board. The cost is significant to the taxpayer. The savings is significant. If you recall, back in '06 and '07, when this was kicked off, it was kicked off with prices per square footage. At that time, it was pre-recession, and everything was going strong. The monies were being lent by the institutions. Contractors were getting all they could get because they were doing all they could do. The price, everything was just exploding in '05, '06, and '07 when all this came up. And then at that time, just to refresh the citizens that are watching on TV and we watching throughout the week this recording, is that the estimated cost at that time for this building at this size was about $3.5 million, and indicated by the commissioners to the Friends of the Library. Go out and raise 10%, show us how much you did that, and I commend you for that. But this is 2013, and it's not '06, '07, as we all know. And I'm not sure that we are totally out of this, and we're still trying to save all the money we can. Design build is the way to go. That's we're one of the few counties that can do this, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
DOT is certainly looking at it in a very strong way to move forward in their transportation projects in order to get jobs done, and done now, and done cheaper before everything else goes back up again. So with all that said, if we can, I guess, get an understanding that out of the 350,000 that we're very appreciative, but I guess I need to, before I say this, I need to understand how the contract came about. I understand we had an employee here that was given the authority to sign the contract. Is the county responsible for the contract? Is the Friends of the Library responsible for the contract?
The county is responsible.
Because we signed the contract. Who signed the contract?
Sue Farmer, who was the former facilities, head of the facilities.
Was she part of the organization that was going around looking at architects and selecting the architects, the Friends of the Library? Was she part of that group?
She was on that committee.
On that group?
Yes.
Okay, on committee.
She's not on the Friends of the Library. She was just representative from the county.
Okay, I think what I need to, I guess, understand now is we're the ultimate responsible party that has to either stay in or get out. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, let me think on that one.
While you're thinking about that, Mr. King, I have, if we were to decide to go with Ratio Architects, would they be required to go out for bids to people that's on our approved list that we know? Do you know?
Yes, sir.
Okay, they would be.
They would gather our list,
Yeah.
and they would also gather,
Our peer, they would have to use our list and follow our process.
Okay.
Correct. Anything else? She has something else.
they would use our list of vendors, but they would also bring to the table their vendors as well. But we would have the authority to say yea or nay.
We can accept or reject any bids.
But you're required to accept the lowest responsible bidder.
Bid.
Yes. Thank you.
Unless we throw them all out.
You know, we've been, Mr. Parker and I have been talking, and there's been I'm of the opinion as a chairman of the facilities committee, is that I would like to see, you know, we're going to save a lot more on design build than $35,000 it's going to cost us to get out of this thing with ratio. I would like to see our county and our administration here have more control of the bid process. That's my opinion, okay? The committee is going to have to decide, but I would like to see us use our own authority and our own people to make sure this gets done right. That's just my opinion. Any other comments?
I just feel like, you know, if we can save accordingly that we did on the senior citizen, you know, in discussion that I've been in, and like I say, I've only been on the board a short time, but there's several parts of this project that was borderline on, you know, like the parking lot and some of the lighting and all that was borderline on what we can or can't spend. And if we can save enough on the design bill, instead of, you know, putting out bids, you know, that, I'm not saying that we need to spend more money on some of the borderline things, but it would put us in a better position to make sure that those, the parking issue and all that can probably be addressed a little better.
Okay. I would like to ask the mayor of Mount Island, Mr. Ray McDonald, if you would you step up and tell us where you are as far as looking at paving the parking lot and maintaining it across the street, please? Just give us an update. We had asked that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we have not taken this to our board yet, but we have talked to our town manager, and I've talked about this. We feel like we're in a position to go to them and recommend us to pave that parking lot, and I can't guarantee you 100%, but I think they would accept that responsibility. Our concern is we need our library, and we need it sooner than later. You know, we've expressed that. Listening to y'all talking, I'd like to just ask a few questions.
Yes.
Borden, if you were to go ahead and let them bid it, you have the authority to accept it, the lowest bid, then what he said, you have to accept but you can turn down the whole thing.
Turn all down.
And you haven't lost anything, and you get an idea of what you got.
Well,
And you're gonna spend the 35 anyway. So I don't say, I'm not telling you what to do, but I believe I'd like to know what the bid would be if y'all have control of telling them who the bidders are. And I believe they have that they can recommend the bidders. That way you may not lose 35,000. But at the same time, if it's not what you want, you paid for it, it's yours anyway. You understand where I'm coming from?
Yes.
And I think if we kind of thought about that, and I do believe design build is the best way to go, but I'm not in the building industry anymore, so I can't tell you what it costs. I have talked to several contractors, but they're not commercial contractors. And they say 120 to 140 is a good range, depending on what you're going to do. I mean, are you going to build a Taj Mahal, or are you going to build a library? If you build a Taj Mahal, it's going to cost you $140,000. I mean, 140 a square foot. If you're going to build a library, you probably can get it for 120. And all we want is a library.
Right.
We want it to be functional, and we want it to be something that we're all proud of, and I know you feel the same way. Now, we have talked to you on other things that we have agreed that we will do. We're not going to take anything, we're going to do the same thing we've always done at the library we've got now. I think we do the light bill and some of the other stuff. We've always done that. And that parking lot is really important to Mount Olive, because as y'all know, we just had the Pickle Festival. That's one of the main areas that we use during that. And I think based on that and what other times we use it, I don't think Charles and I have any problem getting our board to agree to do what you ask.
Okay.
You have lighting also for safety?
We'll do the parking lot, whatever's got required to have. It's already, I looked at that the other day, the lights, it's got the post and all that in it, they just need to be refurbished more than anything else. But
Parts of the season, it gets dark quick, 5 o'clock.
yeah. I agree with what y'all said, and we want you to know this, from the town's perspective, we appreciate what y'all are doing, because every dime saved means something else we can do. And we have no problem with what y'all doing and how you're going about it. I think the sooner we can get a schedule and say we're gonna bid it this day, and I think it'll settle everybody down and everybody can see that we're going to get the library. And I think that's the important thing. You agree?
There's a point, though, I think that Mr. Parker needs to make relative to, there's a point Mr. Parker might want to make relative to the bid process that you need to be aware of.
Let me ask this, one other thing, I forgot. The key to this whole design is whose stamp's gonna be on it.
That's right.
That's the key.
Yeah.
And if you can't get that stamp, then we got other problems. So, you know, and I didn't hear Borden say that the plans would be stamped, if that's the case. Do you know?
You would have a situation that if you get out of the contract with Ratio, you get the plans that they've got. I'm told by Ratio that the plans are ready to go out for bid today.
So it's already got the stamp on it, probably.
Right, but if you go design build, if they are not part of the team, somebody else has to come
Stamp,
in.
yeah.
And
I thought that was probably.
It would have a new architect engineer stamp.
So, who you hired to do the rest of it, will have to put that stamp on it, the engineer.
They'll redraw it.
I think I can say with all architectural contracts, the contract says that the plans belong to the architectural firm.
Right.
But you have a license to use them.
That's right.
And so
Right.
Wayne County would have a license to use the plans as drawn
Right, okay.
for this specific building. It couldn't go out and say, use the same plan somewhere else or another building.
Mr. Williams is right. We don't want to tell you how to do it, and we're not up here to tell you how to do it. What we're up here to do is support you in what you're doing, and we hope we have done that, and we're going to continue to do that, and we just need to see a schedule. That's it.
Thank you.
And the other thing that Mr. Williams was saying is that part of the architectural fee, if it were to go out to bid, would be putting it out for bid. So if you terminate them now, you would have, that would be part of their lost profit that they claim. They say that's 20% of what would still be owed if you let them put it out for bids, you then have to pay them for that.
Well,
Go ahead. Okay, help me understand that now, because now I'm sort of confused about the logistics and the protocol.
Well, the contract for the architect says that you pay them so much for different steps that they go through. And they have now gone through having the full design. So the next thing that they would be paid for is putting it out for bid. The architects would get the, do all of that for them. The county would not have to do anything other than accept the bids as they come in.
We would have to accept the bids as they come
Yeah.
in. If we
They would
wanted to
be-
turn any of them down, we could do that.
You would do that too. Well, when I say accept, I mean, when a contractor submits its bid, it submits it in a sealed envelope, and they come up here to the county's office, to Ms.
Okay,
Wood's
that's step
office.
2. That would be step 2.
After it's put out for bid,
Right.
yes.
Then we open all the bids,
Right.
and then step 3 is the architect, who would be Ratio if we kept him. Then his process would be to go out and inspect construction as it
Well,
was
the
constructed.
his first thing would be, is to see whether the bids properly, were properly submitted, whether they had the right bonds in,
Yes.
to tell you whether the companies that had submitted the bids were qualified to do the work.
Yes.
And then the last part of theirs, if, let's say that they say X company has the lowest responsible bid, and we recommend that you accept that, and if the board accepts that company, then the last part of the architect's work under the contract would be to inspect the progress of the work.
So if it was brought back, a company had $120 a square foot, then part of their due diligence in their contract would be to investigate or inspect their work as it proceeded to fruition. Their cost, the contractor's cost, would be $120 a square foot, but they're saying if they followed through the whole process, they'd already factored in somewhere about $100,000, $106,000. But if they stopped it early before the bids went out, then they're going to back it down to maybe $60,000. But now, if we stop it right now, it's $35,000.
That's the estimate that he gave me.
Okay. Now I understand completely. So if we got something today at $120 a square foot and they stayed on board, are they going to get part of that 120, or are they going to get above that? They will probably get, they've already factored in their cost at about $100,000.
Based on estimates.
Their estimate is $122,500.
$122,000. Okay, to oversee the project, to fruition,
Yes.
completion.
But I think the point that was made with the design build is that you generally don't have to worry very much about change orders.
Right.
And my experience, probably shouldn't say this, but the contractors use the change orders to make more money.
Correct. Well, that's their bread and butter.
Gordon Parker said that.
So,
And you're sitting in a
Big bus ride.
you're sitting in a building that happened to you all.
so, Mr. Chairman, my thought
Sorry, I
then,
had to say
as a facilities member, is that if we cut them loose right now, we pay them $35,000, and we use their plans, ready to go out for bid.
Now, you use their plans to say,
As a
this
guide.
is what we want, and you put those out to get, you have to advertise for teams to come in your design bill, but you would use their plans to say, this is what we want. somebody else would have to then adopt them.
And draw specific schematics, mechanical plans, they'll have to do that. They're not using the plans in the true sense of, I'm about to build that building. They, in turn, will look at that as a guide to be able to get to $120 a foot or whatever the figure is. They will use that as a guide and say, well, you could move this wall, change this roof pitch, you could do.
There's
And
a
then they would
term
do that.
name for that, and
I
it
know,
eludes me, but there's a term name. for
like
it.
value engineering, it really is the value engineering.
Value engineering.
That's it.
Thank you.
Yeah, value engineer.
I guess the thought is the 35,000 that they want. But I don't know exactly how to go about doing it, I'll be honest. I don't want to hold the project up, and if this is a legal issue about how to get them out or let them stay in for a price, knowing that we're trying to get a target price of $120 a square foot, then backing them back in, how much is it going to cost to keep them in if we go design build?
If I can say this, Mr. Chairman, remember too, ratio, let's say you choose to pay this estimated $35,000, we move on, we use that as a guide, go to design build. When we advertise for these teams to come in this review of teams, and we would have a group that would do that, like we did the senior center, we brought in, I think a commissioner and staff and an outside source, and we qualified those teams. Well, remember, ratio could team up with a contractor. Could they not?
Yes.
I mean, they could they could work with ABC Contracting and Services and say, we're a team that want to bid. I mean, so they have that opportunity like anyone else. So what I'm saying is, they're not out completely. They still could do that and may do that. I mean, that would be up to them. What I'm saying is they're just not totally out. I just want to make that point. They still have that opportunity.
Well, my concern, as I mentioned before, is that I don't like the vibrations and some of the messages that Ratio has sent. For example, why would they believe that we could not save any money on design build? Number two is that, am I correct, Mr. Parker, in saying that they have alluded to the fact they don't feel like we can save any more than $250,000 on this project?
I think you've already had some value engineering that has showed you how you could save that
How
much.
you could do it. And we've
Right,
looked at some of that.
But we feel if we can get it for $120 a square foot, we're gonna save a lot more than $250,000.
650,000.
Exactly. So that's my concern. I'm just wondering, since Ratio is told us that, evidently they don't believe in design build. Maybe they've never done it. I don't know. That's what bothers me about Ratio, is that our county has no experience with these people. They may be great. I don't know. The only thing I know is that if we have control here in our county, then we have control. We know what's going on. So that's my opinion. I just don't like some of the messages that I'm seeing from Ratio for that reason.
Well, the messages they're sending is going to be to their best interest. I mean,
The other thing is that let's say we go with Ratio, someone we don't know. Let's say we go with them. We get all the bids in. And we don't accept any of them. Where does that put us? We're back to square one. We got to start the process all over. I just feel that the county, our staff and our people here in this county can oversee this thing and do a much more efficient and, in my opinion, better job. That's just my opinion as a facilities member.
and it's not like, go ahead. And it's not like that, we're going into a blind project. I mean, because the senior citizen is a perfect example. I mean, it's, I'm not a architect or in the construction business, but you can look at that building and tell that, I mean, that's something to be proud of. And I think we can do the same thing with the library in Mount Olive.
What would be the recommendation from council?
Well, I've given you your legal. I think that I don't want to punt.
Above my pay grade, that's why we pay.
I'm telling you what the legal aspects are. It's really a decision for the committee and ultimately the Board of Commissioners on how you want to proceed.
But we do need some type of, in general, recommendation from county manager and council. I certainly would feel better as a committee member to get some good firm direction from you guys, because you do it all the time, every day.
For me, if the board or the committee, and it looks like that, and looking at trying to achieve these savings, if we intend to terminate the contract, and if the estimate is the estimate of 35, I'd recommend that the county pay the $35,000. Obviously, if the Friends of the Library could assist with that, that's fine, but I think all of us are agreeing that time is of the essence. It is a priority, you've stated that we pay the $35,000, terminate, and move in this other process, pretty quickly, because when you look at the difference, as you said, if we could save, let's say $500,000 up to $650,000 in comparison to 35, it's a pretty good investment. I mean, I know there's been money spent, but we've been able to lay out a design. I don't think the money spent by the Friends is a loss, because I think you've got some good ideas and some good thoughts on how you want to do things. And I think we walk in even better prepared when you go in design build. I think you're going to be a little better off, and that, I think, will speed that process up, because there's a lot of questions already answered. So this should be pretty easy for these people who do this every day. So I would recommend that the county pay the 35. We go ahead and terminate, and whatever the legal issues have to do, terminate the contract, and move on in the recommendations of this committee to move on with design build as quickly as possible at $120 a foot.
Mr. Acutt.
Yeah, the key word I feel like is move on. I mean, this project's been going on, what, 7 or 8 years? 5 years?
Yeah, we bought the
5,
building
6.
about 5 years ago, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, that, this has drug on long enough. I mean, the citizens and the people of Mount Olive and the southern end of the county has been assured that they're going to get a library, and, this is drug on long enough. We need to move on it.
Yes.
Question.
Yes, Mr. Kane.
I'd like to know how you feel about the county paying or the Friends of the Library paying the $35,000.
Well, it would be nice for the Friends of the Library to pay it, but like I just said, the key word is moving on. If split the cost, or if they'll do it all, but from what Mr. Smith has says, somebody's got to pay the $35,000. And I know $35,000 is a lot of money, but it'd be mighty nice if the Friends of the Library would pick up the whole tab, and if not, let's see, can we negotiate a figure to split it?
Mr. Brown, you want to speak?
Well, I was asked here to observe and listen, so I don't know if I should speak to this or not.
Yeah.
But I certainly agree with what the county manager says. Every scenario that I've heard in terms of, cutting the contract with the current architect, every scenario that I've heard, the savings are substantially more than the $35,000 cost of doing that. And I think your county manager is exactly right. I think that's the time to go ahead and do that and move on. And I think you're right. I can't address who's going to pay it, but I think it needs to be paid and get on with the project. So, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
If I could have one last.
Yes. Yes, sir.
I can't. I said before, obviously, I don't know. I do think that a good recommendation has been made, and we support that recommendation that Mr. Smith has just made, and Mr. Brown has done this, and I assure that whatever you want to do, we will work with you in any way we can. I don't know what the situations are as far as that's concerned, But we sit here and we keep talking about this dollar and that dollar, and no one knows anything about any dollar. None of the figures that any of you have mentioned mean a thing, because you don't know what you got till somebody tells you what they'll build it for. So all these numbers that we're batting around, saving per square foot, are really irrelevant to the whole discussion. The whole discussion is get the project moving and get a figure that's real. And then when you get a figure that's real, then we can all work, can't we?
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much.
I have a question for you.
All right.
The $350 that the Friends of the Library raised, you spent a total of what, about?
I'm not,
I think about
Mr. Mayor, I'm not privy to the
Okay.
books.
spent about
$231,000.
Yeah, spent 231. We've already spent $231,000,
So-
and I don't know, there have been some other expenses.
And they have pledges up to 350.
That's correct.
But I think at one point in time, they had between 311 and 320, but there are other pledges that, and there will come,
There are
but there's timing on when they'll come.
Yeah, there are pledges outstanding, and there are over a 5-year period, which we've been in it 4 years, and having been a part of a group, a foundation that made one of those pledges, I know which year we're in as far as paying that pledge. And so that money is not, all of those monies, and there has been some shrinkage, I'm sure. All of those monies are not going to come in until for another full year, so. But what, we're all on the same page.
But my question is, though, is that the balance of the you have already raised $350, is that correct?
We have that in pledges.
Huh?
In pledges.
In pledges.
In pledges. We
Okay,
do
so
They've
not,
raised over 311, almost 320,000 in actual cash, and there would remain, give or take, around 30,000, as I understand, these are just figures to kind of work general, around 30,000 in pledges remaining to come in cash, as Mr. Williams said, over the next year.
Okay, my question is that this money that's coming in and what you've already collected in pledges, is it already been earmarked for a particular area of the library? In other words, what is the future plans for the use of that money?
I'm not privy to that information. I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor. Obviously, there have been some naming opportunities and things that have been committed that if you make pledges that certain things will happen and will not happen, and there are going to be expenses as far as that's concerned. To break it down into dollar figures, I can't do that, but I would say this. If this board says the county is willing to buy out that, and if you need the Friends of the Library to take another look, I'm sure they will look at whatever might be reasonable that they do. However, I want to put out that we've already put out the $230,000, which may, in retrospect, be for a set of plans that isn't used as they are drawn. And so, we have the heavy we have a heavy investment in it already.
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mr. Parker, I have a question. If we terminate this contract and pay the $35,000, we're still going to have some expense of another engineer and putting a stamp on these.
That is part of the design-build process. You don't have additional costs. That is built into that budget that is set with that team. So there is no additional. It is bundled together in that price.
Who does the redrawing of
The architect, engineer, contractor team does that.
the team?
Yes.
Okay.
And that's included in the per square foot.
That's correct.
When they come to the table.
That's correct, just
with
like we
the-
did the senior center.
Yes.
Now, Mr. Williams made a really good point. There's still lots of, and I'm selling now, there's still lots of opportunity for people in the community to step up. Like we did at the senior center, that was called the Seeger Center. They were several $100,000 raised for naming rights of rooms and desks and chairs and all sorts of, and there will be the same sorts of opportunity that we want to make available, and I've heard the friends say they would love to be able to work on this kind of thing. So there's lots of opportunity that will help all of us, and maybe do some upgrades. If you want a nicer cabinet, say, well, that's another $50, well, then somebody can have a name put on it and raise that. So just want to make mention of that.
Okay.
That was a sale.
Any other comments, questions?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mr. Kane.
The commissioners, and I speak as chairman of the commission, is that when we took a look at this, along with about 35, 45 other projects in the county on facilities, including schools, that every penny is important. I respect Mr. Williams, Mr. Jimmy, known you a long time. But you and I both know that you have to follow the dollar in business. And every penny, a penny equates to about $500,000 on the tax rate. Isn't that right?
Yeah.
So it's, when we talk money, it's so important because it affects so many, has an impact on so many people in our county. This is truly a partnership. It's a partnership with Mount Olive. It's a partnership with the people in the region, the people on the county. It's just, it has an impact. And for 3 years, I've advocated for this library as a resource learning center for the region. And I've done it over and over again. But $231,000 has been spent. Got a good plan. But we have found through our experience with the senior center is that we can save, as the county manager said, $1 million or so. So with that said, I would like to make a motion that we ask the Friends of the Library to take $35,000 from their fund and let's cancel this contract with Rachel Architects and move forward right away with a design build after we get this terminated. That's my motion.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor from Mr. King to ask the Friends of the Library to pay the $35,000 termination fees with Ratio Architects.
And move forward right away.
And move forward
with the
immediately.
bid process.
All in favor, raise your right hand. All opposed? Okay, unanimous. Any other questions or comments?
The entire board would have to make the determination of terminating the contract.
Yes, we will take care of that.
Put on the agenda next week.
Yeah, next Tuesday is our next commissioner meeting, and we will take care of this at that time,
Tuesday evening.
Tuesday evening, that's right, not morning,
Starting at
evening.
4 o'clock, 4 p.m.
Yeah, okay. And we will move forward with this immediately and get things going. So make sure when you go back to Mount Olive that you let the people know, let all the citizens know in Wayne County that we're doing it right. We can't move any faster than the law will allow. This is what we needed to make sure it's done right. And I want to thank all the facility members and elected officials and everyone that's been working together on this thing. It's beginning to come in. Remember something. We, as a new board, took over a project that was approved by a previous board, and I'm not using that as an excuse. What I'm saying is that we in some people's minds may have been overcautious, but what we heard from Mr. Parker this morning is the reason why we need to be cautious. So we still are all on board to move this thing forward, and that's what's going to happen. Anyone else have any comments?
Well, first, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to thank the Facilities Committee for the diligent work that you've done. I'd like to extend a thank you to the gentleman from Mount Olive for coming up this morning. I have a lot of confidence in what they do collectively and individually. The town mayor is right on board with going back to his board to make sure that some of those things can happen from Mount Olive perspective. I want to thank the town manager. He's right in there digging. I want to give a special thanks to Jimmy Williams. I think, Mr. Mayor, along with what you all have said here and that I've heard here, based upon his experience with design build and having built school buildings in the county, he feels confident with this project. And therefore, I think I can say with real confidence that the people of Mount Olive, once he gives the explanation to the Friends of the Library, will completely understand this. And we're all on board with this. So just this morning, I want to thank you. I also want to extend a thank you to Mr. Parker for, he can't vote, but he certainly gives us good advice and keeps us safe from legal issues. and to hear Mr. Smith give an overview of how confident he feels about this project going forward as design build, comparing it to the senior building, then that gives me the confidence that we can move forward, and I look forward to next Tuesday. Thank you.
Mr. Aycock? Mr. King?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman,
Yeah.
it probably would be very helpful for the entire board if the Friends of the Library could come in and say whether they were going to be able to make that payment that Mr. King has motion said by
Yes.
Tuesday.
Yes, could we have somebody from the Friends of the Library at our meeting Tuesday evening?
Yes, we'll have somebody here.
Okay, all right.
I don't know what they'll say.
Well, we understand that, I understand that, I understand.
I've been very careful not to.
Okay, any other comments? Okay, meeting's adjourned.